Okay, here we go. All right. We got it going. I'll just chop the front off of this one. Okay, we are recording now, so I'll get into an intro. Howdy, folks. Chris McLean back with another episode of the show. And today is a slightly different episode. I've got Jay here from Zingify Tech, or Zingify, and for entrepreneurs, CEOs, industry leaders, and agencies, which we're going to get into how Jay helps, could help agencies. So any business really that want to see their wildest vision realized, Zingify are leaders in human-centric IT innovation, providing solutions and strategy across digital products, platforms, applications, data intelligence, and AI. And unlike other IT companies who come across cold and robotic, Zingify have a human-first approach and are dedicated to creating customized technology that revolutionises and transforms businesses to have a positive and long-lasting impact in the world. So what does that really actually mean for you guys out there that are agencies? Really, we're talking about apps, SaaS platforms, potential new business models, other ways that you could monetize your client base as an agency through perhaps building a custom platform, building out an app, something like that. So Jay, welcome to the show. Really, I think this is going to be an interesting discussion today, talking apps and IT and tech and digital products and MVPs and all that good stuff. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
So give us the overview of Zingify, what you guys do, sort of who you work with, and then we'll sort of focus in on how this might apply to someone who's running an agency in 2022 and beyond.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you a little bit about me personally, before I talk about Zingify. So I have a background in medicine, right?
Okay.
I qualified doctor back in 90s, and then I got into technology late 1990s. So I've been in the tech industry for 22, 23 years now.
Okay.
And, bulk of my career, I was working in corporates, financial services, mining, governments, large-scale digital transformation investments, marketing investment for a very large financial services conglomerate, $700 million spend, media spend, etc. That's what I used to do before I started Zingify, right? So let's talking about Zingify. There was always this, looking at my career, working with the corporates have deep pockets. $50 million, $100 million is not a lot of money for corporates to invest in technology, in marketing, in the business growth drivers, and using technology strategically. And what I observed was, that kind of privilege or access to expertise is not available to SMEs, to the agencies, to the startups. And we wanted to bring that expertise, that's thinking, without necessarily, $50 million price tag, in a SME and a startup agency market. The thinking and the strategies doesn't have to cost that much. And then there are tools and technologies available to actually transition the current business model to the more futuristic SaaS marketplace platform and digitized business models. So that's what Zingify focuses on. We primarily work with, either startups or small, medium business. Generally, the businesses who are successful, where they have a revenue in excess of $5 or $8 million, and they are looking at, they're killing it. They're doing really great in their current domain, the current industry, but there's a concern. Listen, how can technology going to disrupt my agency or my industry? What else is coming that I don't even know about, but that can take me out, right? And they want to, these owners want to build tomorrow's business models over the next decade and really protect the business, but not only protect, but thrive in a digital economy we find ourselves in. So Zingify focuses and works on those kind of businesses as our primary clients.
Yeah. So you're really trying to, let's say, like Uberize the blockbuster sort of business, or avoid being the blockbuster, right? And sort of having a business model that's no longer sort of functional or viable 5-10 years down the track and really trying to
Exactly,
see
exactly,
what's coming and kind of pre-adapt to
exactly. I mean,
to change the business model out.
I say, Chris, that the platform business model, which is what SaaS companies and marketplace companies adopt,
Mm.
um, there's still a 98% opportunity left on the table. And we have only seen 2% penetration in a platform as a business model.
Yeah, right.
And, business owners always have a choice. Either be disrupted or be leaders in disruption.
Mm.
And may have to make that choice of, are people going to complain, like those taxi drivers, who invested $500,000, $700,000, $1 million in buying taxi
Yeah,
licenses
buying cabs.
with
Yeah.
Uber came, and they complained, or you introduce your own Uberized kind of business model in your own industry, right? And that's the
Mm.
choice that every business owner has to make. We are in November 2022, and that's the really important choice to make. And where it's not a right or a wrong choice to make, it's just
Mm.
making a choice and then shaping the future.
Yeah, yeah. So there's the hard reality of
That's
life and of business is that stuff changes, and you either adapt and you kind of go with what's happening, or you kind of stick trying to be dogmatic and sort of stick with how
right.
it's always been done, and potentially you go out of business because that doesn't work anymore. Just
That's right.
the sympathy in the market moves, the way
Exactly.
customers buy moves, their expectations shift because they now have this other option over here.
Yeah.
And businesses can definitely get left behind. And I think marketing and agencies has shifted so much in the last couple of decades, but I think there's, as you're saying, that there's a whole new potential of what an agency might look like in 10, 20 years from now. And I definitely think there's things like SaaS, like apps, like having client onboarding platforms, or having your own sort of CRM, CMS systems, things that as agencies, platforms that can help our clients interact with us better or get their work done better, or it could be more coaching and training and sort of
Yes.
course platforms, that kind of thing. I think there's a lot of scope kind of in that kind of realm of how we can, as agencies, how we can still do our kind of done for you services, Google ads, Facebook ads, we can still do that work, but then add on, we were talking up front about, subscription models and things that give us that kind of recurring revenue over time. That's really nice to have as an agency. We're not reliant on
Exactly.
project fees. If you can have someone paying you, a couple $100 a month and on a subscription model forever, that becomes quite attractive over time. So do you have, I know you work more with sort of SMEs and startups, but if I'm an agency and I'm coming to you and I'm like, okay, Jay, I've got this issue where I want to build an app, I want to build a platform. What does that process sort of look like from engaging you to sort of help me out? Are you, I know I've sort of had a look on your website and you say like, all I need to come to you with is my IP, essentially. Like, here's my idea.
Yeah.
And you guys can sort of take it from there to sort of a fully realized
Yes.
MVP and product. Is that how you work with companies?
Exactly. Spot on. Spot on. So um, let me so we people come to us with, we want to build an app for our business. That's how most clients come.
Mm.
um, and then the first conversation I always have with them, or my team would have with them, would be, it's not about the app. Let's take the product idea on the side.
Mm.
Let's have a digital business strategy. What are we trying to achieve here? Because mostly, business owners or agencies, or don't realize is, there might be an idea of looking at the app or a product or platform in, it will do XYZ. And 9 out of 10 times what we find is it's shaped by the current view and the current business model and the current problems,
Mm.
um, versus what's possible and building a futuristic business model today,
Mm. Yeah, got it.
right?
Yeah.
So the first phase, what we look at is, inevitably we encounter an idea for building a software or some platform or an app or something, and we
Mm.
have to take the conversation to a platform as a business strategy.
mm,
Let's
mm,
flesh out what does this mean for the business in 12 months time, in 2 years, 3 years time, and in a 5 and 10 years time. Do we have
mm,
a, because ultimately it's about building that business. So that's always the first step, right? The who is the customer persona will be serving tomorrow through this business. um, what's possible through technologies,
mm,
what are the use cases and the new value chains we can create. uh, what could be the pricing and the revenue models here, rather than a traditional agency models or traditional revenue streams? Uh, Subscription models to advertising to data monetization to taking a cut of a commission in a marketplace kind of interaction curation.
mm,
Partnerships, like we actually explore various revenue streams and build a
yeah,
value model. Because what's business, right? So the exchange
mm,
of value, and
mm,
really look at the financial modeling piece, uh, to see, should you even build an app? Should you,
yeah,
even build a digital business? And are you the
mm,
person who is bold enough, courageous enough to take that next leap of faith, but not leap of faith like jump off the cliff, leap of faith, in disrupting your own business, but disrupting your own industry sometimes.
mm,
Uh,
mm,
and we ask those questions as clients go through the first phase with us, the customer journey mapping, agency owners journey themselves, the client journey maps themselves, and
mm,
the pain points, frustration, and then really where are the opportunities? How can digital platform as a business model make a difference?
mm. Yeah, I really like that approach. So that I like what you're saying, that there can be a tendency to say, like, I have this business problem today that I'm trying to fix, and I
Correct.
think that having an app to do this thing here is going to solve all of my problems,
Yeah.
but that may not be looking far enough forward to look at the actual real potential, or considering the shifts in the industry or the market, or as I said before, like the empathy, the expectations of consumers. And
Correct.
if I'm also considering from an investment perspective, an app's probably not something that I'm going to build over a year and that's it. It's something that I'm going to want to have for 5-10 years. It's a
Correct.
considerable investment and something that is essentially a whole new business that I'm
Exactly.
starting again. So I like that you're thinking from that
Exactly.
perspective, that this is a complete shift in business model, and is it actually the right decision,
Yeah.
and what does that look like?
Exactly. And one of the biggest thing in that first phase we deal with, Chris, is if you have a problem in your business that you think you can solve through some software or an app, listen, it's very likely 99% of other companies in your industry also experience the same problem. You're
Mm,
not unique. Every business owner likes to think that they are unique, but they're not, right?
yeah.
So if we are solving a problem, then how do we solve it not just for you, but also for the competition?
Mm,
Competition becomes collaboration in a digital economy, right? And if we solve a problem for an industry, while you build an app, let's not build an app just for your business, build an app for your industry, for your whole market.
mm,
And
mm,
then competition will actually end up using your app because it solves problem for them as well. You add value
mm,
to your competitors and peers, and in the process you actually take on a market leading position for next few 5 and 10 years, in a scenario.
mm.
Because, right, and
Like
that's
that.
a critical shift that we drive in a first phase of client working with us at Zingify.
Mm,
It's a mental and a strategic shift. um, we are not just go, oh, you want to build an app or a web application, web platform, yep, sure, we'll tell us what you want and we'll build it. That's not what we do. And sometimes we
mm,
do that, and we need to do that to respond to the needs of our client. But mostly it's about, let's build tomorrow's business while
mm,
you are thriving in today, so you are not being disrupted, and you can actually take a disruptor as a position versus being disrupted as a position. That's the first,
Yeah,
first.
yeah, and see that how that's an outcome of that proper discovery process. Where, like I said, here's my problem, and I'm just looking to solve this. And that might be quite a myopic kind of view,
Yes,
right? I
yes,
think, oh, this is going to solve my problems. It's going to help my customers. But yeah, essentially, if that's a problem that, particularly like in the agency world, as an agency coach, I can see most agencies have the same problems. Like there's the suite of problems, and everyone has some semblance of problems across the same thing. So if I'm fixing one thing for me, it's very, very likely that a lot of other businesses might be
Correct.
looking for that same fix. So if I can build something that's going to be good for me, then now it is literally a whole other business that I can resell across my industry and
Exactly.
support other people. So yeah, it's a very, very different perspective, right? From
Yes.
I'm going to solve my problem to actually going to build a business that changes, disrupts, supports, helps the entire industry.
Exactly.
And potentially something that could work outside of that industry as well, right? If it's
Correct.
fixing some sort of a customer onboarding system, so that a lot of types of businesses, all sorts of service businesses,
That's right.
have customer onboarding, so it could even extend out beyond my industry. So I think it's an important consideration, like you say, that sort of future proofing, that how big could this thing actually be, and
That's
sort of taking
That's
that 40,000 foot view of what could this actually, how disruptive could this be, how big could this be, how many people could this actually solve for, and then it becomes kind of a bigger beast than just like this little app that's going to solve my little problem too. Literally, now I've got a completely other business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Super
And
interesting.
because building an app could be, anywhere between, people spend basic apps 50, 80 grand to $200,000, $500,000, $1 million many times, right? Even in a SME market. And mostly it doesn't really work out in terms of the returns. I've seen that over 23 years. So how about we get the strategy right in the first place? Instead of thinking, as you said, myopic for my current market, in my current business, in the current business model, solve it for the industry. And hey, we could be actually building tomorrow's global business. That's the first shift. And then the financials, the numbers, size of the audience, conversion rates, subscriptions, monetization models applied into the financial model tells us. And the biggest thing, Chris, is look, a typical agency or a service business model. If you look at the rule of thumb, the global benchmarks, the valuation of the business when you want to exit the business, right? Service business attract somewhere between 1.5 to 2.5 multiples max. Product businesses attract 3 to 5 multiples of your annual revenue or profits. Okay. Platform or SaaS business models and those businesses attract 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, 500,000 multiples of annual revenues. Millions sometimes.
Significant change there, right?
Ridiculous difference, right? We're talking ridiculous difference in a business valuation just because of the revenue streams that you have. Even a free sign up of a customer on an app actually adds value to the balance sheet, right? Because there are ways to monetize the data created from the customer interaction on a digital product. So it might not be a direct, okay, I have a $10,000 contract or a project or a $50,000 project, chasing that versus sign up $2 user or free users or $2 a month subscription or $10 a month subscription or $100 a month subscription actually has a ridiculous market size impact, volume impacts, and therefore the business valuation impacts. And we have seen that so many times over and over again in a platform business models. You see Canva, you see Atlassian, you see High Pages, you see Airtasker, you see Zero. These software platforms, you go and see, take their annual revenue and take the market capitalization. And, I rest my case. You take the annual revenue and you'll see multiples of 20, 40, 50, 70 in a market. Now, I always come from, why is that not accessible to small, medium businesses? Why is no one thinking about that? Let's bring that game to business owners and entrepreneurs who, take a lot of risk in building a business.
Got their shirts on the line a lot of the time.
Exactly.
Why not get that 20, 30x exit rather than...
So, it's just that thinking, that strategy that, is very easily accessible in a corporate world with, deep pockets. has not been available, but that's what we wanted to bring to SMEs and startups. To look, it's possible for you, and we can
Yeah.
create pathways to get there. It requires resilience. It requires all the things that typical entrepreneur displays anyway,
Mm.
right? Let's be on that journey rather than build an app for today's business.
Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating stuff. I think it's and I love that the way that you're actually looking at this and the value that that provides to a business in terms of you're just going, well, give us your money and we'll build an app for you for 20 grand and
Yeah,
if it works out, good luck. We don't really care. As
exactly.
you talked about, sort of up front, you are that much more human centric and how can we actually care about your business and build the right thing for your business. It's actually going to give you financial return, a bigger exit potential and dominating an industry. Actually, doing all of the financial modeling and a lot of that stuff that's probably very difficult for most businesses to do that haven't looked at that, don't understand, that sort of how SaaS models kind of extrapolate out over time,
Right.
what revenue models you can have from, like you said, just from client data, how you
Yeah,
could just build business models off of data, how you can build it off user base, how you can build it off subscription models. There's so many ways you can monetize that, but if you're not in that game, like you said, if you're not in that game, you're completely unaware of the potential of um, those ways to make money. And I don't use the word myopic, and I think as agencies we can get very myopic in time for money, billing for
yes.
hours, even value and project based. That's
Oh,
how our industry works. So this is really really interesting conversation for particularly agency owners to sort of start to think about actually what's this other world of entrepreneurial SME startup venture capital kind of, if I could put that hat on, what would my business look like in 5 to 10 years if I adopted that a different level of thinking to
that's it.
thinking about the next project or the next website or the next this.
And
Very
that's the
very
first
interesting.
phase, Chris. That's the first phase. That's the
Mm,
very first step. At the end of it, we and the client and a business owner can actually look at the numbers, look at the strategy, and go, is this the game I actually want to play?
mm, mm,
Right? And then there's a choice. And many times, if the numbers don't work out or not looking attractive enough, or the journey, because journey gets very clear at that time, right?
mm,
Uh, we do a lot of education in the process of what it takes and what it's going to be like, as we transition or build tomorrow's business. And
mm.
and there's a choice at the end of that phase one. We call it
Yeah,
gate go no go. If it's viable and attractive, then business owner can make a choice to go to phase two or exit the process. But at least they have made a thorough examination,
mm,
investigated the opportunity, and made a conscious, aware choice if they
yeah,
exit. Sometimes we recommend, listen, this is not worthwhile going.
mm,
This is not for you, or the numbers don't stack up in what your
yeah,
idea is. Do something else with your time, money, energy, sweat.
yeah,
When it
yeah,
works out, go to phase two, right? And
mm,
phase
mm,
two is when we actually take the idea, break it down, we do a workshop, scope out your platform, the technologies that are going to be required. Where do we have to, build minimum? It's like the whole minimum viable product concept. But,
yeah,
I think, Chris, the whole MVP is bastardized. The thinking is bastardized, and it's done more
mm,
disservice than service to SMEs and, startups. Because what people think is, I'm going to build my MVP and, I'll start making some money. Well,
mm,
the problem with that philosophy is MVP was never meant to be revenue generating, scalable product.
mm. Yeah, it's a
MVP,
prototype, right? So does this thing work? Is it functional?
correct. MVP's purpose was learning. Learn
Mm,
about market, learn about pricing, learn about product development, learn about
mm,
our customers' problems, their experiences, and iterate from that learning.
mm.
It's never, but most small medium business owners come go, oh, I built an MVP, now it's not working, my app is crashing. Or, well, how much did you spend? Oh, I spent $30,000. Well, you don't get a scalable revenue generating amazing user experience with all the
Bug
features for
free.
$30,000.
Yeah.
You just don't, right? Even if you got it done, and many people hire offshore development agencies, and they get burnt. all the time, the thing doesn't work and yada yada yada, right?
Yeah.
So we look at that more strategically, minimal scope, but a revenue generating scalable product and architecture, so that supports if business is working out, right? The assumptions and the plans and the strategy that we made in the phase one, that's really working out, then you build on it. But it's not a throwaway MVP, it's version one of a real digital business, that is revenue generating scalable digital product, right? And that's an important piece that we go through, the experience design, market testing using a prototype, uh, get the customer feedback, customer development processes, all those things is what we tackle in phase two before
Yeah.
actually building actual product, and launching the business. And I always call launch the business, not launch your app.
Yeah.
It's got to be generating a new revenue stream, because you know what, app or any software when it's custom built will start to suck money every month. There's got to keep up to date, with data breaches we have seen, and heard about recently, Optus. I mean, those risks, now you start to bring those risks internally in the business, right? So you got
Yeah.
to, there's an ongoing investment, so there has to be a money coming in as well.
Just to cover your AWS hosting fees and your infrastructure and your
Exactly. So
ongoing
those are the
costs.
things that we tackle and deal with, and then keep working through with the client. Most of our clients work with us 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and onwards, right? It's never a few months, because it's a business partnership, strategic advisory, and we can only be successful if they are.
Yeah, again, I think that's the right thinking from that level. This is a business, not they say just go off and build an app, and now I've got this thing that may or may not work, or that hasn't got a business actually wrapped around it, a proper financial model, a proper go-to-market strategy, a proper marketing and promotion strategy hasn't been tested. I think that the way that you think and the way you work knocks out a lot of people don't validate their thing. They say, this is the thing I'm going to build, and I'm going to build it because I think it's going to work. And you build it and you end up with a thing that nobody actually wants to buy because you haven't validated that the market actually wants to buy. Right? You think it's genius and you think it's solving a problem, but without that market validation, you're kind of building in a silo, right? And you get out and you go, well, why doesn't anyone buy it? And because nobody actually wants to buy the thing in the first place. So super important to validate all the way through and actually be building something someone wants to buy from the most basic levels. No point going through all of that work with someone like yourself and get to the end and have something that somebody doesn't actually want to pay you any money for.
Exactly.
So you're cutting out a lot of that. You're doing a lot of that validation along the way, stage gating it, like you said. So you come to the end of like, now I've got a business that people want to buy. I've got a plan. I know I can monetize it for this sort of money. And it's something I'm going to build over time. So, yeah. And I like what you said about that. I did that. You're thinking about there's that sort of decision point of, is this the business that I actually want to have? And this is a conversation we have with a lot of agencies. People think, I want a $10 million agency. I want to do $1 million a month. It's like, well, do you? Like, do you want 100, 200 person staff? Do you want to manage that number of people? Do you want to manage the types of clients it's going to take to have $1 million a month agency? It can sound really nice, and the Instagram version of that reality might sound really attractive, but running a big SaaS business is very, very different to running a 2-3 person agency and having a handful of clients.
Right?
So very different.
$1 million a month in a SaaS business, does not require 200 people team. 100 people team that an agency would require. So those ambitions, we in fact love to work with those ambitious clients, because thinking is right, ambition, dreams are right. The pathway needs to be different than a traditional business model pathway. It's very much possible to build a monthly recurring revenue of $1 million, but not in a current time for money, how many hours we are billing. That model is going to die in 3 to 5 years time. AI is automating a bunch of tasks, right? And it keeps the rat race going, time for money. It just keeps that rat race going, and we want to disrupt that. We want to create a new future for these entrepreneurs and business models. And it's possible. That's the thing. It's possible. It's available. People just don't realize the accessibility of it.
Yeah, I think it's massively really interesting way to start thinking about how we run businesses as agency owners, and that there is actually that potential out there to think different and do different. And yeah, the way this industry operates is going to change somehow in the next 5, 10, 20 years. It's definitely going to change. You said like AI might start picking up a lot of the tasks that we do as agencies. So very important to start thinking differently, and brilliant that people like yourselves are out there to sort of support businesses like agencies that have that big growth vision. They want to do important things in the world, and start thinking about how can I actually achieve that from what I've got now. How does that look like sort of down the line a bit? Yeah, I think it's not even important. I think it's critical that we start to think differently like that, right? What's going to happen to this industry, and how do we tackle that before it happens and sort of shut this down? Right?
Someone's gonna do it, Chris. Someone's gonna disrupt it, and people got to make a choice. Do they be a part? Do they have a seat at the table of leading that disruption, or just wait for it to happen?
Yeah, don't wait, folks. Don't wait. Call Jay. On that note, I think it's super interesting. Very, very. So it's a bit different to what we usually talk about on the show, but I think it's really interesting. It's a different level of thinking, and hopefully this episode's opened up sort of a new level of consciousness for agency owners out there to start thinking about their business a bit differently and consider, what does my business look like in 5, 10 years time? If I'm still in business, what does that look like? And how might I leverage something like apps and platforms and tech stacks to sort of help me achieve that, or completely shift what I'm doing into something different? Very cool stuff. If people do want to get in touch with you, Jay, where are some of the best places for them to come and connect with you?
I think the best way is people can send an email to me, jay@zingify.tech. So Jay, my name is there. That's a simple email address, jay@zingify.tech or .com.au. Both will work. I'm on LinkedIn, quite active on LinkedIn. I talk about this stuff on LinkedIn. So find me, Jay Pandya, Jay Pandya on LinkedIn. Easy to find, or just go to our website and send an inquiry, to us, zingify.com.au, and we can be in touch and take the conversation further.
Fantastic. So start thinking differently about your business, folks, and get in touch with Jay. I'll drop all those links as always in the show notes, so you can click one of those links and go get connected with Jay and start a conversation about the future of your business and what that might look like. I found this really interesting, Jay. I think it's a fascinating space, and I like that you're bringing that previously inaccessible kind of big startup Zuckerberg type thinking to people like ourselves that can sort of start to access that knowledge base and do something different with our industry and our businesses. So I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for dropping by. Been fascinating, and I think there's a lot of takeaways and a lot of new thinking, hopefully, that people listening to the episode can take away and start to think about what their business might look like down the line.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to express. This is my passion. I love to see SME and agency owners and startups to actually get into the future. So I just love talking about it. This is my passion. Which is where the business got created. So thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. I can tell that you're passionate about it, and it's what we like to have, people passionate doing cool things in the world. So thank you for dropping by. Thanks everyone for tuning in. A lot of really interesting stuff in this episode to take away. So hopefully it was valuable for you as well. Thanks, Jay. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Thank you.